G'day and welcome to the GameDay Squad Global Cricket Championship show for week 2. We are the Fantasy Bros, Kwozzie and Moi Moi. Kwozzie, how's things, mate?
Yeah, good, very good. Another great week of cricket, and so looking forward to jumping straight in.
Absolutely. So guys, similar to last week's show, today we're going to review the matches that has been played in the previous week. We'll preview the upcoming matches. We'll tell you who you should start, sit and watch for the week. And to finish, we'll announce the Brodown Showdown winner. And we'll see which one of you has won yourself your very own GDS Global Cricket Championship pack. First things first, Kwozzie, how are you and your teams travelling?
Yeah, good. Yeah. Had a win earlier in the week with Challenger. So I think that was round 8. And I saw you've had a couple of wins there as well. And maybe we won't talk about my actual cricket team. We'll just stick to fantasy for today. How about that?
So the less said about New Zealand, the better, hey?
I think so. How your team's going?
Excellent. So I actually had a Challenger win back in round 8 or round 9. If yours was 8, I guess mine was 9. But it was thanks to the Scottish all-rounder Brandon McMullen, who was probably a big pod in a round where India and Pakistan played. So he scored 90 and I had his platinum card. But yeah, like you alluded to, I just completed the double, taking out both the Challenger and the Champion. That was thanks mostly to the Aussie dominance over Namibia. But just to prove to everyone out there, GDS cricket is a bit more about picking the player than rarity. I only had 5 diamonds across both of those squads. So super pleased with that result.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, that's unreal. And probably lucky that we had the timing for Sri Lanka right and you're able to make some changes there.
That's all right. Yeah, I promised myself last week that I would be more diligent checking that weather, and it certainly paid off, leaving all of those Sri Lankans out of my squad. Well, let's get cracking and deep dive into a recap of the week's games that have just been played. So, kick things off, mate. What happened in round 6?
Yep, so round 6, we had a triple header there again. We've got Canada versus Ireland to kick us off, and it really kicked off in style. It was an absolute cracker of a game. Canada, associate nation, they defeated a full member team in Ireland, so that was awesome to see. And it was all thanks to Nicholas Curtin. He was the key to victory, coming in at number 5 and knocking 49 off 37 on his way to 75 GDS points. So really well done there to Canada. Second up, unfortunately, we've got to talk about this one, and somehow, Moi Moi, you've made sure that this game fell to me in our review. I don't know how that worked out, but it is New Zealand versus Afghanistan. And to be honest, who would have thought that actually playing cricket in the lead up to a World Cup would be the ideal prep? Certainly, New Zealand did not, and it was obvious that we were absolutely beaten in every respect. Nothing went our way, unfortunately. Number of drop catches, number of missed opportunities, but still that 84 run defeat, it really hurt, and it probably might give us a bit of a tough time at the back end of this tournament that we'll talk about a little bit later on. In terms of the star performers, we could highlight 4 or 5 blokes from Afghanistan, but it was the magic man Rashid Khan who topped the scoring with 117, and that was thanks to his 4 for 17 they got off him, so that was unreal from Rashi there. And then to finish the round, we had Sri Lanka versus Bangladesh, and what a thriller to finish that round. Bangladesh needed 12 with 8 wickets down, and I think a couple of overs in hand, but they were able to hold their nerve and finish Sri Lanka off with a couple of balls to spare there as well. And it was the work of, in the first innings, of Mustafiza Rahman. He was able to make the difference, I think, taking 3 wickets in 4 overs and ended up scoring 85 GDS points. So what happened in round 7, mate?
Yeah, lovely. We had the Netherlands take on South Africa, and it looked like it was going to be a straightforward victory to South Africa as they were chasing just 104 for victory. Otniel Bartman was the chief destroyer for South Africa. He claimed 4 for 14 off his 4 and he scored 102 GDS points. But South Africa were in trouble. They were 4 for 12 in that chase. Stubbs was scored 33 and David Miller, the only batsman to offer some resistance against that Dutch attack. But South Africa have Miller's 59 or 51 to thank for getting them out of jail, and they managed to win with just 7 balls remaining. So Netherlands put up a great fight there. The one that we all looked were looking forward to was Australia and England, where we took on our old foe. And they looked anything but contenders in their washout against Scotland. And the Aussies started really well. Head, Warner, Marsh, Maxey, Stoinis, they all scored 28 or more. But it was Warner's explosive 39 from 14 that really set the tone early. And the Aussies all chipped in to score 201. That was proved a bit too much for England to run down. And it was only really Joss Butler that offered some resistance. And he scored a quick 5-42. But the moment Zampa took his wicket, the game was all but done. And in terms of top score, it was actually Butler who top scored in terms of GDS, and he scored a handy 85 in a losing team. The round then finished with my tournament favourites, West Indies, up against Uganda. And the West Indies probably would have thought their score of 173 was a bit below par, with no batsman really getting going, other than Johnson Charles, who struggled through his innings, scoring 44 from 42. Worry not, though. The bowlers absolutely tore through that brittle Ugandan outfit, rolling them for just 39. Akil Hussain starred for the Windies, taking 5 for 11 from his 4 overs. How good's this? Just 5 of his 24 balls had runs scored off them. And he finished with a monster 135 GDS points. Yeah, just phenomenal.
So good.
Round 8, mate.
And then we had round 8. We kicked off with India versus Pakistan, and so obviously a massive game there for so many cricket fans. But unfortunately, that Pakistani horror run continues in this World Cup. They are really struggling. That's their back-to-back defeat to begin the campaign for Pakistan, and we'll talk a little bit about them a little bit later. It was India that definitely didn't do it the easy way either. They really struggled early on. I think Kohli and Sharma were only able to muster up 19 runs together, so that was a bit of a shock there for India. And I guess a number of people had predicted that India's batting was going to dominate, but they just really haven't. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in our previews coming up. It was the key man for India was their paceman, Jasprit Bumrah. He's been doing all the damage, and in that game he scored 77 points to make sure India got the win there. And then we jumped over to Oman versus Scotland, and we have seen so many stunning scenes already this World Cup. However, I think the most stunning scene that I've seen so far is at the end of that match, Scotland were leading Group B, which we all know in Group B that has England and Australia there as well. So good on Scotland to be contenders in that. They secured their second victory with that dominant win over Oman, and it was, as you said earlier, all-rounder McMullen that really made quick work of the 150-odd run chase there. He hit 9 4s and 2 6s on his way to 61 off 31 and a GDS score of 90, and a massive victory there for Scotland.
Round 9, we had South Africa and Bangladesh. It was just the one game for this round, and Bangladesh had their tails up after upsetting Sri Lanka just days prior. They almost continued their giant killing run, going within a whisker of victory. They were chasing 114 and needing just 11 off the final over. Bangladesh had no answer for South African spinner Maharaj, who held his nerve and took 2 for 6 in that final tense over. Earlier, wicketkeeper Heinrich Klaassen's 46 off 44 helped South Africa post 113, but at one stage it looked like being a lot less after Bangladeshi bowler Tanzim Zakib's brilliant 3 for 18 from 4 overs kept them in the game. He top scored with the match on 79 points.
Unreal. And then round 10 to kick us off, we had Pakistan versus Canada, and Pakistan finally found a victory. Took them their third match to get there, but they did it. And leading the charge from the first ball was Mohammad Rizwan. I think he finished on 53, not out. And he also took 2 catches behind the stumps there to give himself a score of 81 GDS points. So hopefully you all played Rizwan earlier in the week. Next up, unfortunately, Sri Lanka versus Nepal was called off. So unfortunately for both GDS coaches and cricket fans, it was a washout and we didn't get a ball bowled. So hopefully, like we said earlier, you swapped out a few of your Sri Lankan players that you'd locked into your squad before that rolling lockout occurred. And then finally, Australia versus Namibia to finish off round 10. As we said, Australia were absolutely dominant. and they've secured their spot into the Super 8s with that win. And we'll talk a little bit later about some of those implications there as well. We were all hoping Marsh won that toss, and we're all hoping and pleading that he put himself in Australia into bat first so that we could see a massive total. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case. And they bowled Namibia all out for 72. So they didn't really have much to chase down. And unfortunately for a lot of us coaches, we didn't have a lot of points on the board there. It was Adam Zampa who ended up doing the most damage with the ball, taking 4 wickets from 4 overs, also adding 17 dot balls in that and finishing on 105 GDS points. So hopefully you had Zamps in your squad earlier today.
Yeah, I absolutely did. It was almost like Marsh wanted just to have a pretty easy, quiet game, knowing that if they bowl first, they could probably get Namibia out pretty cheap and then chase the runs down quickly. And that's exactly what they did. So a few extra hours for the Aussies putting their feet up and some good opportunity for Mitchell Starc to get some rest. We probably need him toward the back end of the comp, and he was that laid out again. But Nathan Ellis certainly did the job. Alrighty, let's move on to segment number 2, where we'll preview the upcoming matches and who we think could be a target for each one of those matches. These will be all the remaining group matches before the Super 8s commence next Thursday. Kwozzie, let's go one match at a time on this occasion, and then after that we'll conclude with our overall start, sit and watch for the whole week of games that we preview. So, who's that first player in round 12 that coaches should target?
Yeah, all right. To kick off round 12, we've got Bangladesh versus Netherlands. And with Sri Lanka really struggling in their first 2 outings of this tournament, this match between Bangladesh and Netherlands, I think, could be a decider for who might finish second in Group D. Obviously, there are a couple of games to go later on, but I think this could be a big telling point for one of these teams. Netherlands have shown some vulnerability to batsmen so far, giving up an average of 35.25 GDS points to all batsmen. So I'm looking at Tanzit Hassan, or Tanzit Temin, as you might see him in GDS, to come out swinging and secure their spot in that Super 8s.
Beauty. Thanks for the tip. I'll be sure to play Tanzit. England versus Oman is a pretty simple one. I think I can see this match being fairly one-sided, and I guess the English will get up pretty easily, and that'll get their tournament off and running. I expect Joss Buttler to continue his fine run of form and to go big with the bat once again. A pretty boring one, but a safe one nonetheless.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how England do go. I've heard a couple of whispers that the Aussies are keen to slow the run rate down a little bit against Scotland to make sure that they keep the English side out of the Super 8. So we'll keep an eye on that a little bit later as well, hey?
And could you imagine the blow up on social media?
Oh, mate, it would be, I'd love it. It would be great. Get Johnny Bairstow on there and let's see what happens.
Yeah.
All right, continuing in the round, we've got Afghanistan versus PNG. And I think it'll be an interesting one to see what Afghanistan do with their squad. Obviously, they've had a couple of really good games so far, and those 2 dominant wins have seen an exceptional net run rate. So I think they might rest a couple of stars here. They might be looking ahead and thinking about what their future's going to hold there. So I feel like maybe if they do that, Majid might find his way back into the squad. And if he does, I'll be locking him straight in. PNG have allowed an average of 43.3 GDS points to spinners across their 2 matches so far. And I think he will come in and fit in nicely and hopefully take a few poles.
Yeah, beauty. It's that tough balance between teams resting some of their stars or trying to get momentum and roll on and playing that same 11. So it will be interesting to see what some of those teams do that are all but certain of a spot in that Super 8. Yeah. Round 13 sees USA take on Ireland. And look, the USA could legitimately go 3 from 3 with a win here against the Irish. And they'll be brimming with confidence after their huge Super Over victory win against Pakistan. In cricket, you just have to stick with the man in form, so there's no chance I'm sitting the USA's Aaron Jones. With GDS scores of 126 and 46, he'll be a start in my 11 for sure. Yeah, he's been unreal. He's probably been the pick of the tournament. And, you know, if there's any man that can stand there and advertise cricket in the USA, I think Aaron Jones has done his job. So it's awesome to see. Next up in that round, we've got South Africa versus Nepal. And again, I think it's another matchup where there might be some squad rotation.
South Africa has that group wrapped up, I'm pretty sure, and will be looking ahead again towards the Super Eights. And unfortunately, my man Reza Hendricks has really struggled to find some form. We'll talk about him a little bit later as well. So I feel like he might make way for Ryan Rickleton, who is a wicketkeeper batsman as well. He hasn't had a lot of experience in T20 internationals. I think he's only had the 3 games earlier in the year. But his average strike rate across all T20 games is 136.58. So I'll be looking at him to potentially come in and hopefully he can show selectors, why he's in the squad and what he can do if they make that rotation.
Beautiful. Lovely. All right, mate, you can relax a little here because I don't see a world where New Zealand get toppled by Uganda. For everyone playing at home, at the time of recording, we don't yet know the result of the blockbuster New Zealand versus West Indies. So New Zealand could either be entering this fixture in a lot of trouble or potentially with some of their swagger back. In any case, the batsmen will need to spend some quality time out in the middle. So I'm going to look for Finn Allen to fire at the top of the Kiwi innings.
Yeah, he was the first of a long line of disappointments the other day. So yeah, I really hope he fires. Round 14, we've got India versus Canada to kick us off in that round, and India will really be looking to solidify that top spot in the group. I think with the host nation USA really breathing down their neck, and as we said, potentially could go 3 from 3. I think India will want to make a bit of a stand here against Canada. And we'll say it again and again, but will we finally see Kohli or Yadav fire in this tournament? I feel like they've really struggled. Kohli, I think, currently averaging 7 GDS points per game, and Yadav a touch ahead on 9. So it's hard to leave Kohli out or Yadav out of your team. But we've seen what Aaron Jones, as you just said, what he did against Canada in the first game. So surely one of those top order could really dominate that game and make something and at least a few runs.
Gee, that 7 and 9 points average is insane. Surely this is the game that they fight. And look, I've played them every single game and I'll continue to play them just because I don't want to miss out on that big one. The second game in round 14 sees Namibia take on England. And look, with all due respect to Namibia, we saw them today against Australia and they rarely put up a fight. So I don't see them competing with an England team desperate for success. Although, look, I'd love to see Namibia fight back here and push the English to the very end. But with that in mind, I see Jofra Archer ripping through the Namibia batting lineup, just like we saw the Quicks and Zampa today take plenty of wickets. I reckon Jofra will get a bag full. Namibia allow an average of 43.12 GDS points to fast bowlers, and that's probably even gone up a little bit after the Aussie bowlers tore shreds through them today.
Yeah, definitely. And then that team, as we said, Australia versus Scotland. And this match could really determine the top of Group B. Potentially, you never know what can happen. And I think, unfortunately for Scotland, I think the Aussie big guns will probably stand up here. And that big gun that we've got in our team is the big show, Glenn Maxwell. I think he should have another massive game. He's got some confidence back, I think, after 28 runs against England. Although it's not a huge total, I think it's more than 0, which he had the game before. So I think he'll feel a bit better about it. However, I really want to see Maxi with the ball and take a few wickets there. I think that's where you're going to get your extra points through Maxi with the ball. And, the benefit here is that Scotland have allowed an average of 46.3 GDS points to all-rounders. So it really could be a good spot for Maxi to both, have a decent total and then take a couple of wickets on the back of that. And, we might be looking at a GDS score of 60, 70, 80 maybe if we lock in Maxwell. So fingers crossed he has a good game against Scotland.
Absolutely. Isn't that a funny world we live in when we're saying 28 runs for Maxwell is a good thing? Who would have thought? I think he's such a confidence player that if he has the ball in hand and manages to take a wicket or two in that first innings, then he could just go nuclear with the bat. And the reverse as well. If he goes well with the bat, throw him the ball as well, because he can do plenty of things with ball at hand. He just needs some time out in the middle. Alrighty, round 15 sees Pakistan take on Ireland, and we've said it plenty of times. It's been a well below par performance by the Pakistan team to date, so they'll be hungry to put on a solid display against a resilient Irish team, but certainly an Irish team that they should beat. I've said it a few times, but I expect big things from Babar Azam. Look, whenever he pulls on that Pakistan green, he plays well. So I'm backing their skipper in for a big score in this one, and he's got to be a lock in your GDS side.
Yeah. I've played him every game, and it's been a little bit disappointing, but that's okay. Anyway, the round continues with Bangladesh versus Nepal, and Bangladesh will want to wrap up that second spot in the group with a huge win here against Nepal. Unfortunately for Nepal, they have struggled, and they showed a huge weakness to all-rounders earlier in the tournament, allowing a massive average of 66 GDS points to the position. So I'll be looking at Mahmudullah or Muhammad Riyad, as you might see him in GameDay Squad, and hopefully he'll be keen to find a couple of wickets as well as add a few runs on the board. So I'll be looking to lock him in.
Excellent. Yeah, I think Nepal certainly have a big mountain to climb in this one.
Yeah.
All right, we then have Sri Lanka versus the Netherlands. And the Netherlands have a lot of heart. I love watching them play, so I can really see them rallying and finding a way to beat Sri Lanka. And I see that happening with the ball. And they'll look to cult figure Tim Pringle. Great name, great hairdo. And I think he could spin them to victory with his left arm orthodox. And I know we've got a lot of Sri Lankan fans in the GDS Discord and probably watching this as well. So, look, I'm sorry, boys, but go the Dutch and go Tim Pringle.
So not only have you beaten all the GDS boys over the last couple of days, but now you're rubbing it into some of the Sri Lankans. Watch this space. Watch this space. All right, round 16, our final round of matches for the group stage. This could be a defining matchup for the Kiwis, obviously depending on prior matches. A huge net run rate's probably needed in this game from the Kiwis to potentially lock in a second spot and that chance at the Super 8s. I'm pretty sure, I think I heard or read that we haven't missed a semi-final in a T20 World Cup for a number of years, so it will be super disappointing that if we do. So we'll see how we go here. But I've already talked about PNG's struggle with spinners, and on top of that, they really struggle to contain all-rounders. They're allowing an average of 41.75 GDS points to all-rounders. So I'll be looking at Rashan Ravindra. Last week on the show, I said he was a watch, and he actually missed the squad there in that game. So that was probably a good call there. But again, I think he's got to come in and make a difference with bat and ball. So if he does find his way into that starting 11, which I really hope that they do go his way instead of maybe someone like Jimmy Neesham, I think I'll be locking in Ravindra to have a big game against PNG and hopefully get us through into the Super 8s.
Fingers crossed, because I packed his diamond a couple of days ago and it's just sitting there waiting to get a run, and I always feel heartbroken having to swap him out for someone who's maybe not quite as good. So let's hope you're right. Mate, what a way.
At least he's young and you can have him for the next 5-10 years, mate. So that's the benefit of this platform, I guess.
Okay. Yeah. I'm a little bit short-sighted here. Okay, yeah, I'll be patient and I'll consider those long-term benefits. Thanks for pulling me back into line. Mate, what a way to finish the group stage matches. Like you said, New Zealand have a lot to do in that previous match against Papua New Guinea. But look, they probably can do that based on how well we know how good they are. And they're playing against, that associate nation in Papua New Guinea. So this one's a pretty tough to preview. First thing being that we won't know last night's result based on time of recording. So based on that result, this could be an all-to-play for match between the West Indies and Afghanistan. So what we do know is both teams will know exactly what they will need to do to qualify. And if only one of the two can make it through, then we just have to sit back and enjoy this taste of semi-final cricket come early. I see spin being the deciding factor here. but I'm backing Andre Russell to stamp his authority with bat and ball. He's just that big-time player, and this is the perfect big-time stage.
I can't see a world where the West Indies or Afghanistan, the way they're playing, miss out on Super 8s. But that's what I need to happen, but I just can't see it. I don't know. It's what a group.
Well, you add the Kiwis to that list. I can't see a world where, the Kiwis being such a big cricketing name, West Indies and Afghanistan in such great form, one of them misses out.
Yeah. Insane. Good cricket.
All right. All right, now it's time for Start, Sit and Watch, where we'll both choose one player that we think you absolutely must start in your GDS squads, one player you should probably look to sit, and one player to watch, given maybe some potential question marks around maybe their role in the team, or maybe the spot in the team moving forward. So, Kwozzie, who's your Start, Sit and Watch players for week 2?
So my start, last week, my start of the week was a West Indian. And again, I've gone another West Indian for my start this week. You just spoke about Andre Russell and previewed all the reasons why you're locking him in for that final game of the round. And I think he will finish that tournament in style. So he is my start of the week. The last time they played a T20 international game was at the stadium that they're going to play at Darren Sammy National Cricket Stadium was in 2021. So there's been a few years, that they haven't had a game there. Australia played against the hosts, West Indies, on that occasion, and the game saw an aggregate of 382 runs between the two teams. So I feel like a few runs could be scored. And obviously we know Dre Russ to be a massive power hitter. In that game, that last game in 2021, J. Russ could only muster 1 run, but he took 3 wickets. So we know his dominance with ball and bat. So I think we'll be relying on both of those aspects of Dre Russ, and again, he'll be looking to keep his average GDS score above 60, and he can do that definitely. So I see him having a massive game.
Beautiful.
My sit of the week, I've had to think about this, and I'm going to sit the whole Kiwi team. Is that all right? Can we do that? No, I won't do that. I think that there's some good gems in the Kiwi side. The player I'm going to sit this week is actually the batsman that I picked to top score the whole tournament, and that has definitely not worked out in my favour, and that is Sirikumar Yadav. We've already spoken about the struggles that he's had, and I think he might face them again potentially. So far, the only player really to score against Canada has been Aaron Jones, and if we take his score out of that GDS average, Canada have limited batsmen and GDS to only 12.5 GDS batting points. So that average for Yadav of 9 might continue. So I think I'll be more comfortable sitting Yadav and playing Kohli in that match, and hope that I make the right choice there.
Hey, mate, don't be too hard on yourself for top run scorer selection. If someone had said to you, Sirikumar Yadav will out average Virat Kohli, you would have been locking him into your side every single match. The problem is Kohli's only scoring 7.
Again, another crazy world that we live in where Kohli cannot buy a run. But anyway, we push on. And then my watch of the week, I'll be keeping a close eye on the South African squad. I've already talked about the potential rotation they might have. My batsman for the Brodown Showdown last week was their top order batsman in Reza Hendricks, and we all know how that ended up. He couldn't score a run. And we'll talk a little bit more about Brodown Showdown soon. But again, earlier in the preview, I talked about potentially the South African team looking to rotate this squad a bit, and that means that I'll be watching and keeping an eye on Ryan Rickleton. If he's named, then I'll definitely be looking to play him. And fingers crossed, he might even borrow the gloves off Quinton de Kock. That'd be a nice little addition there to get a few extra points potentially if they're looking to rotate a bit more. So I'm going to set my alarm 30 minutes prior to that first ball and make sure that I check that starting 11 to keep an eye on whether Rickleton starts or not.
Wonderful. Yeah, great advice about checking those team lists and also the weather. Timely reminder about doing so. Alrighty. My start for the week. I'm backing Afghanistan to continue their hot run of form. And I think spin threat Majib will be amongst the wicket takers against PNG, provided, of course, he gets a start. Like you said, he's been out of the squad recently, and we know the Afghanistan team have such good range of bowlers, but they might look to rest a few, or they might want Majib spinning in this match. So provided he's in that 11, look, he's got the variation that will bamboozle the best of opponents, and up against, poor old PNG, he could have some really good figures. With a host of quality bowlers in tonight's round 13 matchup, he is going to be the first name on my team sheet if he's named himself.
Yeah, love it.
For my sit, I'm going with an Indian as well. And it'll be their spinning all-rounder Ravindra Jadeja. He seems to be a shadow of his former self. He's produced subpar performances with scores of, get this, just 2 and 3 against Ireland and Pakistan. Batting at 8 certainly hasn't helped. He's had, a number of really good innings where he just comes in and lights things up. I think he's hit 5 or 6 sixes in a T20I before in 1 over. So he's certainly capable. But also in those matches, he's only bowled a combined 3 overs. And the part-time bowling of Hardik Pandya and Axar Patel have actually been preferred over him. Look, I need my all-rounders getting 3 to 4 overs a match with the ball, and he's simply not getting that role I expected pre-tournament. So until I see something different, I'm sitting Jadeja.
Yeah, I agree. You want your all-rounders to have as many overs as possible, and having combined 3 overs, it's not good.
All right, and for my watch, I'm going to cheat a little here. I think I cheated last time as well and named about 3 bowlers. But look, I've got a good reason for this one. My watch will be the entire Afghanistan versus West Indies match to conclude the group stage matches. We've already spoken about how big of a game this might actually be, and the assumption is that this game might just be a do or die for one of these powerhouses. So it's going to be an absolute cracker. Couple that with the fact that New Zealand play strugglers PNG earlier in the round. I think I'm easily just going to load up on a fair few New Zealanders, meaning it'll be pretty hard to start a West Indian or Afghanistan player with confidence from a match that should be really tight. Who do you think will get the chockies in this one, mate?
I think, and obviously, like we say, it depends on what happens in that previous game, but I think the West Indies surely they come out and dominate. But you can just see Faruqi coming in and going fifer, can't you? You never know.
Don't remind me of Faruqi. I think I sat here last week and said to sit him. He couldn't repeat his forfeit. In fact, in the last 10 innings, he'd only gotten more than 1 wicket twice, and I think he'd had 3 matches without a wicket at all. But he managed to beat those 4 wickets, and he got 5, didn't he? Look, so thanks for bringing it up. I better make a quick public announcement now. If anyone listened to me on this show last week and sat Faruqi as a result of my input, feel free to send me a DM on the GDS Discord at Moi Moi. Let me know what happened, and I'll do what I can to flick you a platinum card or something to make up for it. I'm so that's still going to haunt me. And thanks for bringing it up, mate. I'd forgotten about it for the last half hour.
Anytime.
But here we are. Yeah, appreciate it. Alrighty, let's to conclude week 2 of the GameDay Squad Global Cricket Championship show. We bring you the Bro Down Showdown, where Kwozzie and I go head to head to pick our best scoring batter, all-rounder and bowler for all of those games we've just previewed. I'll race through last week's results, where Kwozzie tipped South Africa's Reza Hendricks, West Indian Andre Russell, and Australia's Pat Cummins as his best bat, all-rounder and bowler. I went with Australia's Travis Head, Sri Lanka's Hasaranga, and Alzari Joseph from the West Indies. I can tell you that things were pretty close in the first week of Bro Down Showdown, except for our batsman predictions. Kwazzie's mentioned a few times already that Hendricks could only manage scores of 3 and -2. for, what does that make his average? Like 0.5?
Yeah.
Whereas my Travis Head finished with scores of 46 and 47 against Namibia, which just quietly probably could have been a lot more had Mitch Marsh done the right thing and batted first. As for the all-rounders, there was only 5 points in it. Quozzie's Andre Russell scored 63 against Uganda, just edging out my Hasaranga, who scored 58 against Bangladesh. I still maintain Hasaranga would have turned up against Nepal had the weather not intervened, but I digress. That means it comes down to the bowlers. Quozzie's Pat Cummins scored 55 against England, and we just saw him score 46 against Namibia, thanks to a superb wicket maiden. However, my pick of Alzari Joseph just edged out Cummins, and he scored 61 against Uganda. So I got you by 6 points there, mate. I take an early 2-1 lead. Yes. So if you chose Moi Moi as the winner of the Brodown Showdown in the comments section, you're now in with a chance to win your very own GDS Unique Pack. Again, thanks to those of you who did vote by commenting on last week's video, by commenting on our Instagram or on the GDS Discord server. Hopefully we can get a few more of you commenting this week, because you can see how easy it is to win a prize. Quozzie, you want to do the honours and reveal the lucky winner?
So we are going to get this started. So this is what we're playing for. Let's spin the wheel from our
lovely
correct coaches. Alrighty, Nate from our Discord, so the GDS Discord, he commented and said that Moi Moi would get the win. So Nate, we are opening this pack for you, mate. Let's, fingers crossed, we get a legend. Alrighty, Nate, let's see what you have won. Let's look for that red.
Ooh, be a legend. Where's the red?
No legend this time. Nate, that is your prize. Please get in contact with either myself or Moi Moi on the Discord, and we'll organise you receiving those 3 cards. Good on you, mate. Well done. Thank you for commenting.
Yeah, congratulations, Nate. Well done. See, everyone, it's pretty easy. Nate didn't score himself a superstar card, but you certainly can. To be in the running this week, make sure you comment below who you think will win with their predictions. Just type in Kwozzie or Moi Moi. You can do that here on the YouTube. You can do it on our Instagram, Fantasy Bros AU, or you can do it on the Discord server for GDS as well. Kwozzie, who are you resting your hopes on this week?
All right, my batsman, I've got Tanzir Tamin from Bangladesh. My all-rounder is Glenn Maxwell from Australia, and my bowler is Jofra Archer from England. How about you, mate? Who are you going with this week?
Good, solid picks. I've gone for batsman, Joss Buttler from England. My all-rounder is Rashid Khan from Afghanistan. And your boy, Trent Boult from New Zealand as my bowler.
Bolty. Love it. Love it.
It's a win-win, really. If he goes well, then it's a win for me. If he doesn't, then I'm sorry, but the Kiwis probably aren't progressing.
Yes, let's wait and see.
Alrighty. Well, guys, that's a wrap for week 2 of the GameDay Squad Cricket Show, and a very big thanks for tuning in once again. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to GameDay Squad on all of their socials, and make sure you follow us on your favourite socials too, via @FantasyBrosAU. See ya.
Unreal. Thanks, guys.